The Odessia. Odessa watched the teeming rats at play in the rat park through the laboratory window. Trousers from his spot on an overhanging beam regarded them with lazy disdain. At another time, in another place, he would have slaughtered the rodents running around the enclosure, but he had promised to behave. The floor was covered with earth a foot deep, and the space was strewn with small logs, rocks, grass, flowers, bushes, and a couple of saplings. Sunlight streamed through the glass ceiling and played on the pond in the corner. The rats chattered, argued, and gossiped in squeaky, expressive tones. They climbed the objects, ran in and out of crevices, and sniffed around to their heart's content. At the far end of Rat Park stood 3 containers: food, water A, and water B. Dr. Tetra G, the scientist, had explained.
I wanted to see whether environment has a bearing on addiction rates, so you will see that there are 2 containers, A and B. A contains fresh water, B sugar water laced with a highly addictive drug. Back in the cages, the rats couldn't get enough of the drug water, and many died of overdoses. Here in the rat park, very few drink it more than a couple of times. It seems the life they enjoy in here is more pleasurable than getting high.
Why is drug-laced water sugary? Odessa asked.
That's to mask the flavor of the drug. Rats instinctively dislike the smell of it, but if the water be sugary enough, they seem not to notice what else it contains.
Odessa unlocked the first door, stepped through, closed the door behind her, and then unlocked the second door and stepped in. The rats froze momentarily and scattered. Odessa took a seat on the large rock in the center of the room. After a while, the rats emerged from their hiding places and resumed their play. Some approached her rock and sniffed at her. Their beady little eyes regarded her carefully, and their whiskers twitched. One large black rat scampered up Odessa's rock and sat by her.
Who are you?
He asked. My name is Odessa. I'm just visiting.
Welcome to the Promised Lab, Odessa.
Thank you. What's your name?
My tag says MT353-AX, but you can call me Matt if you like.
Pleased to meet you, Matt.
What are you doing here, Odessa? You're not one of us.
Odessa laughed at the directness of his observation. Is that how you always start a conversation, telling people if they're rats or not?
Not usually, but then again, you're the first foreigner I've ever seen here.
What about the scientist? Doesn't he ever come in?
What scientist?
The person who brought you all here.
Do you mean the one who knows all? Whose name cannot be spoken?
I didn't know that's his name.
No one knows his name. None but the High Priest may pronounce it, and that knowledge has been forever lost. It is said that one day the name will return to us, at a time of great need.
I don't think he's going anywhere. As far as I can tell, he's here all the time.
Praise the Lord. Of course he is. He is always with us, always watching us.
A crowd of rats began to form at the foot of Odessa's rock.
Did she say she has seen the Blessed One?
I think that's what she said. I don't believe it. No one has ever seen the one who knows all in blue. She's not one of us. And she's a giantess, moreover. Maybe she can perform magic too.
Yes, he was the one who showed me this place.
Praise the one. Hail the one who knows all. All thanks be to the one who knows all. This is a sign, a reminder that he is always watching us.
Matt's whiskers jerked with excitement.
Do you think he is watching us right now?
Odessa looked up at the one-way mirror of the laboratory and saw nothing but her own reflection. She then looked around the room, now devoid of the noise of play. A tightly packed assembly of rats on their hindquarters awaited her reply, their ears turned to her, their eyes unblinking. I can't see him from where I'm sitting right now.
What? That cannot be. He watches over us night and day. Shush! Let the giantess speak. She didn't say he never watches. She meant to say one cannot know but must have faith.
I mean, I believe...
See? I told you she believed. Quiet! Let her speak.
Odessa continued. I believe he always keeps an eye on this place, but I arrived only recently, so I don't know what his movements are.
Praise the one who knows. Hail the one who knows. All thanks be to the one who knows all. I told you this is a sign. A reminder that he is always watching us.
The crowd of rats melted away, congratulating each other on the excellent news and affirming their faith in the scientist Dr. Tetra G, whom they worshipped as their creator and savior. Matt stayed on the rock, eager to learn more.
What is he like? What does he look like? Does he have a giant tail?
Odessa considered her reply. Well, he's very tall, much taller than I am. And I think he cares about you a lot. Matt sighed with pleasure.
What about his tail? Is it very long?
I'm not sure about that. What does it mean to have a long tail?
Oh, you know, to be strong, to have reach, to be a rat amongst rats, to have a long tail.
I don't quite understand. And maybe he does have a long tail, but I didn't see it.
Oh, that's all right. One probably cannot see the one who knows in all his glory anyway. It's probably for the best.
At any rate, I can tell you he is very interested in what you get up to.
Of course he does. He is the one who knows, the one who delivered us to the promised lab. Once we were slaves, running on endless wheels, in cages, and now we roam free in our own land.
I can see it's much better here than in a cage. Do you remember what it was like before? Matt the rat pondered Odessa's question.
You know, I don't remember much of the time before our deliverance. We all drank the candy water back then, and no one remembers much from that time.
Candy water?
Yes, the sweet water that turns night into day and day into night.
Matt the rat's voice took on a prophetic tone.
We who lived in the time before knew not the fresh air or the open space, the earth beneath our feet or the grass between our whiskers. We lived and died in small cages, with nothing but candy water to fuel our dreams. We cried out for salvation, and he, the one who knows, answered our calls. Look out at my people. See how the one who knows, our King, our Saviour, has made us strong and free and happy. He continues to test us with candy water over there, but no one drinks it anymore. And if anyone does, he soon learns that there is nothing quite so sweet as fresh water and warm sunlight when we play. Verily, he watches us always, and we look up to him, Odessa. You have seen him, but do you truly have faith in him?
I don't think I can say I do, Odessa replied truthfully.
Ah, very well. Each his own cage must depart, as the saying goes.
He surveyed his fellows around the enclosure, in the walled garden that was an entire world to him and all who lived there. Odessa wanted to ask him more about life in Rat Park, but rat number MT353-AX, also known as Matt, scampered down and rejoined his friends in a chase around a log. Odessa stayed for a while and watched the rats in contemplative silence.